What's good, people? It's your boy, Uncle Fred, back in the house one more again. More content. Hit that like, comment, and subscribe. On the show today, we're going to talk about Zeke putting some information out about where he wants to play. He lists three teams. You'll be surprised about one of them. Two, the landscape of the NFL's running back position is really changing. I mean, it's really changing. Tony Pollard might want to rethink what he is doing or whatever. I think he's just signed his franchise tag tender this week. And then Deandre Hopkins' price has just gone down after we've already bought. But what does that mean for Cowboy fans? And then finally, and we've been hitting on it a couple of times, but what free agents do, especially on the defensive end, do you still are still available and that we can have to make our defense as good as it can be? All that and a little bit more. We'll be right back in just a minute. Y'all sit back with me on the Uncle Fred Rant Show.
Two times on the beat, bitch.
What's good, people? Once again, Uncle Fred back in the house, back in the saddle. One more again. And we got a little more content for you. Please hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. Well, I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. And I'm going to go ahead and put that QR grid up there. And if you want to, send something to your boy, that'll be fine. We can work with that. But anyway, a lot of things, few things going on. Short video. I always say that, but it's going to be a short video. So we talked about it last week about Zeke leaving us. And, it's that's an emotional thing. Zeke's been with us, since 2016, him and Dak came in together 2016. It was 7 years. He's got some good things. Ran for like 8,216 yards, I think, and like 68 touchdowns and stuff like that. I mean, that's a good, great all around season. I think Zeke gave all he had. But right before the 2019 season, we know what happened. He held out and did his thing and, went to Cabo and didn't report to training camp, was holding out. And, him and his agent, Rocky Arsenault, they held us to the fire. And so they signed him a 6-year, $90 million contract. And so we get to now and, his cap hit like 15, 16, $17 million. And Zeke is giving you 3.8 yards a carry, even though he gave you 12 touchdowns. So they made a decision to let Zeke go. So I mean, that's a very emotional thing. Like I said, he was our identity for a while, So he leaves, and so you didn't hear anything for a while, and then of course now you're hearing that it's been leaked that other teams, he's listed some teams that, and you're thinking that he is going to these, or he's got visits with these teams. These teams got, want to, have a meet and greet with him, and they've got plans on signing him. And then he lists the teams. He lists the Cincinnati Bengals. He lists the New York Jets. And he lists the Philadelphia Eagles. And that one right there kind of stuck right there. So when they start doing some investigating, Adam Schefter, he be doing some stuff, man. I be wanting sometimes the Adam Schefter, which I like him sometimes, but sometimes Adam Schefter be doing too much, right? So you start doing your investigating, you start looking at some things, looking up some things, and you're hearing some stuff, and you start finding out that when they start talking to Harry Roseman, and they like, no, we haven't heard, he ain't been in contact with our people. And of course, now Zach Taylor, who and the GM Duke Tobin of the Bengals. Now there was I guess you can say a content creator for the Bengals, guy named James Erping, and I kind of listened to one of his thing. He has kind of a show, kind of like mine. It's a higher scale than mine, but it's for the Bengals. And he mentioned some ideas of where he said, hey, he would do well here because they just got rid of Samaje Perine, who signed with the Broncos, and they got me and names, golly, me and names. But anyway, he's sitting on $12 million, 12.7. Joe Mixon sitting on a $12 million contract. The Bengals don't like to spend no money. They're trying to save some money because they're never going to play Joe and T. Higgins and those guys. They got to pay them dudes, right? And they're gonna have to pay Orlando Brown. I think that's his name, Brown, the guy that's got from Kansas City, who signed this massive contract. So they got to save money where they can. So maybe they may be trying to, say part ways with Joe Mixon. But see, the thing about it, if they keep Joe Mixon, the thing the guy said is Joe Mixon don't like to block. He doesn't block from the running back position. And Samaje Perine was a pretty good, running back blocker. Well, he left and went to Denver. And so they would like to bring him back now, bring him so yeah, to them he would be interesting to bring on. So, I could see him joining the Bengals, but I guarantee you it ain't gonna be for no $4, $5, $6 million. Because if you look at the, with the landscape, that's not what the going price is. But before I get to that though, and then of course they talked about the Jets. You mentioned the Jets because the Jets is up and coming. They possibly could have Aaron Rodgers. I can't believe he's got these two franchises hung out over the barrel like he's got, but whatever. But anyhow, but then the running back, Breece Hall, tweeted like, "No, man, stay where you at, bro. We don't need you here." Now, I'm gonna say something here. This thing where you got these young knucklehead players and stuff that feel like they gotta tweet everything and getting beyond their britches, as my dad used to say, because you were a first-year running back that didn't even play the whole season. You can't speak on behalf of the Jets and what they may do or what their plans are and what they may. You would do well to have a veteran like Zeke in your backfield. Now, he and Michael Carter reported to have tweeted back and forth like, "Yeah, boy, tell him, boy, like, like me and Mike got this going." No, y'all two knuckleheads will do well to have a Zeke in y'all's wide receiver, in y'all running back room. I just don't like young ne'er-do-wells that don't know what they're talking about, speaking out like that. And when they really he should be trying to learn the lay of the land of the league and stop trying to tweet everything, man. I be on Micah, quit tweeting everything. Just chill out, Sometimes less is more. But here's my thing, my personal thing on that. We're gonna go on to the next thing. My personal thing is this, and how when I've listened to some of the other content creators, because I'm finding out now, man, all I do is listen to cowboy content, man. I wake up listening to Mike Fisher and his 725 show. That's how I wake up to that. And sometime in the middle of the day, I'll catch a Mark Holmes video. He does about 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minute videos per day on different topics or whatever. So I'll listen to that while I'm getting ready to go to work, and then I get to work, and I'll pump up William Skywalker Stil's A to Z. I'll listen to that, for a couple of hours and hear some of his content and stuff, like some of his point of view. Of course, I don't agree with all those guys and stuff, but sometimes it's just they have information, and then you bring out your point of view on some of that stuff. And then I'll listen to Voss Lombardi and sometimes Law Nation. And then I'll hit Mike Fisher again at the 6 o'clock at the dinner hour to listen to that at my lunch hour at work. So I found myself consumed with cowboy content, and all of them had takes on this and stuff. But all of us was pretty much the same on that. And so I feel like, and I'm gonna get to like some of the fans' reaction because I just don't get this new fan stuff. All right, but here's the thing: if just say, for instance, you was in a 15, 20-year relationship with a woman, you was married to a woman, right? And y'all heard y'all's time, you had y'all's good times and whatnot, but then the relationship ran its course. Y'all were no longer feeling each other and what have you and stuff like that. And so you guys make a break, right? And then you come and find out that she trying to go on a dating site trying to see somebody that you didn't get along with, one of your arch enemies that you didn't like, whatever. How would that make you feel? And so, to me, I feel a certain kind of way with Zeke listing the Eagles because, I mean, I'm just going to tell you something. If you're a Cowboy, you just do not like the Eagles. Now, I'm a little different because I kind of like Jalen Hurts, University of Alabama, and Devontae Smith, University of Alabama. Rooted for them when they were kids, just coming to the campus, right? I kind of root for them a little bit, but when you put on that green and white, man, I don't want you to get hurt or nothing, but ain't no way in heck I want you, doing anything special, man. I wouldn't want them to win the Super Bowl last year. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I would have a little bit of me would have been all right if Jalen had won it because I know what that kid's about, but as an Eagles organization, no, man, not if you blue and silver Cowboys, you can't go like that, can't roll like that, right? So yeah, you can't be trying to sending out a friend request or a date request to a dude. Me and him used to get into it all the time. That's like you trying to get under my skin. All the dudes out there, you want to spend time with him. So all this 31 other teams out there, but you listed the Eagles. You didn't say the Chiefs. You could have said the Chiefs or the Chargers. You could have said the Chargers. You get back with Kellen Moore. You could have said the Buccaneers. Get back with Skip Pete. You could have said any of them, and I would have understood it. I understand the Bengals. The young team, they Chidobe Awuzie is on that team. Lyle Collins is on that team for the time being, but I heard they're trying to get rid of him. So there's some, I can see that. And the Jets, they up, but the Eagles, I just feel some kind of way about that. Now, and let me get to the fans. Now, let me tell you something. This new thing with fans, fanning players rather than teams, I don't get with that. Okay. Now, I'm gonna admit there are some players in the league that I love to watch. Like, for instance, my favorite player to watch isn't a Cowboy. It's Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Love Patrick Mahomes. But when he's playing the Cowboys, to quote Al Davis, he must go down, and he must go down hard, right? But when he's not playing the Cowboys, I'm watching him. I'm like, ooh, look at that boy throwing that off-platform throws. Look at him throwing it behind his back, doing some sort of no-look throw or something like that, man. He's phenomenal to watch, man. He's my favorite player to watch, right? As an individual player, right? But that don't circumvent my love for the Cowboys because when they played the Cowboys last year, the week before Thanksgiving, I was upset we lost that game. And I'm like, man, we held them to 19 points, but Dak couldn't score but 9. And I was hot, right? Don't mean I don't like Patrick Mahomes, right? But this thing, because I was listening to some callers that called in on Skywalker Stil show, and people was like, man, I hope Zeke go to whoever, and I hope when he play the Cowboys, he kill us. And Skywalker still said, no, bro, I ain't with that. He said, now I can understand having some sort of personal, he said, because he said some of the Cowboy guys that have left hurt me a little bit. He said, yeah, it hurt me when Dez left. And he said, it hurt me. It's a little funny when Zeke leaves, but make no mistake about it. When he leaves, I'm kind of done with you, because what the fans got to get is the player fandom is a thing that the media and the marketing of the NFL created so that they could sell jerseys and stuff, right? It wasn't for you to get baptized in it. And I've not understood why people, because once that player retires, what do? See, then you bouncing around. See, just like in basketball, you got fans that whatever team LeBron James played for, that's who they root for. And I'm like, you bouncing around from team to team. What's that? And he might leave the Lakers and go somewhere else, and you just bouncing around from team to now you rooting against a team you used to be rooting for a couple of years ago. I don't get it. So a girl was calling in. She was like, "Man, I hope when he played the Cowboys, man, he just run roughshod and scores 5, 6, 7 touchdowns or whatever." And I'm like, Stil was like, "Nah, man, I can't." He said, "I was rolling with you," because she was trying to. The fan was trying to talk about how she thought it was a terrible thing they got rid of him and that it was going to take 3 or 4 players to replace him and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, "No, it ain't going to take no 3, 4 guys to replace him. It's a couple things that he does well, but he said I'm not going to spend $8 million for a running back just because he can block well. I'm gonna find a couple of guys that can do that for less. And they got Ronald Jones. He can block well." For $1.25 million, right? And it's just that it's a endless, it's a pointless endeavor to get too consumed with the players because the players come and go, right? I mean, I was sad when Troy left, when Emmett left, when Michael left, Dion left, and those guys, left, and Larry Allen left. But the Cowboys moved on. Them guys retired, and what you gonna do now? So I'm with the team. So I'm just saying, I'm always gonna be this right here, right? So I just don't get the player, fandom to that degree. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm a Cowboy through and through. First team I ever liked. Enjoyed watching. Like I said, I like watching other teams, other players play, but I'm always Cowboy. Cowboys first and foremost. So, but anyway, moving on. But the running back thing has the landscape has changed. See, I'm thinking that right now, I'm looking at the deal that Zeke signed back in 2019, 6 years, 90 million. I don't know how much of it was, like 40 of it was guaranteed, 50 of it was guaranteed, something like that. And he got so much of signing bonus and stuff like that. So I just think that's a dinosaur. And I just think it's a sad thing if you're a running back because they found out that you don't have to pay a running back that much. Or if you pay a running back, he never gets a second contract. So that's kind of the way this thing is going. Or if you get a second contract, it's going to be like a Ronald Jones contract. Like it's a couple of contracts right now. Like I was looking up, there's a couple of those dinosaur contracts is up there right now, like Dalvin Cook. And I've been hearing that the Vikings are trying to get rid of him. But back in 2021, Dalvin Cook signed a 5-year, $63 million contract. And he was a round 2 running back out of Florida State. So he didn't get any upfront money either. But he signed a 5-year, $63 million contract. Signing bonus of $15.5 million, annual salary is $12.6 million a year. And but it was fully guaranteed according to the research I did. And I'm hearing now that the Vikings are almost willing to take that dead cap thing and just pay him and get him, because his contract's over with in 2025. So he's one of those guys that's making that kind of money, right? But they may be trying to get out from underneath that contract. I don't know how they can if it was fully guaranteed, because that's what I'm looking at here. Zachary Hiller and LAA Sports is his agent. But anyhow, but those contracts are a thing of the past. And you got guys like Austin Eckler, for the Chargers, who signed a 6-year, $24 million contract. I mean, a 4-year, $24 million contract, which is $6 million a year. I think he's the second or third year of that deal, and he's wanting more money. So the Chargers told him he could go seek another contract if he wanted to. He'd go do that, right? Go be our guest. And I ain't heard hiding a hair of that. And really, $6 million is really a good. Now let's not get this thing twisted. Austin Eckler caught 107 passes last year. All right, and rushed for over 1,000 yards. He's I still think Tony Pollard is better. Sorry, Mike Fisher. I think Tony Pollard is better than him. I just think he wasn't utilized as well. But But that's the landscape right now. And guys like Tony Pollard, and I heard this week he signed his because they put the franchise tag on him a couple of weeks ago, right at the beginning of the free agent signing, and then he not signed it, but he signed it this week. Want to go ahead and got this $10 million. But here's the thing, and I was listening to Skywalker Stil and some other guy that said, shoot, he better be listening to his agents because they need to go ahead and sign that long-term deal. And it might not be for as much money as he's looking for, because right now he's getting $10 million a year. But really, in terms of new contracts, he would be third in terms of total like money allocations for years, because David Montgomery just signed with the signed to I want to say he signed with the Detroit Lions. Got a 3-year, $18 million contract, but $13 million of it was guaranteed, right? So his per year is $13 million because that's what he gets this year. And then you also get Miles Sanders, who signed a 4-year, $25 million contract with David Montgomery was $11 million. Miles Sanders was $13 million. So you got $13 million, and then you got David Montgomery at $11 million. Of course, now they, after that guaranteed money, they can move on from him. And then you got Dalvin Cook. Excuse me, I don't want to call it Darwin. Dalvin Cook at like $12 million a year. But then you got Tony Pollard in there at 10.19, I think, something like that. I think that's what the franchise tag tender is. Now, I'm just going to tell you how this thing get ready to go. And I don't know if Tony know it or not, but he coming off an injury too. He going to play for this franchise tag. And I'm going to tell you just like this, the Cowboys not, depending on what they do in the draft, if they draft a Bijan or a McBride or what's the kid's name from Tulane? I can't think. They may draft those guys, and who knows, what Malik Davis, could eventually do with given more opportunity. Tony, you might want to look at maybe signing maybe a 4-year, like $22 million contract, which is like $6 million a year, $24 million contract, about the same kind of deal Austin Eckler signed. You might want to say, give you some long-term, money, because I'm telling you, I'm thinking that after this 10 million this year, I don't think they're gonna sign you. I think they're gonna let you walk, and then you're gonna find out that the money ain't what you thought, because Zeke is finding out the money ain't what he thought. Ronald Jones at the side of $1.25 million contract. Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, who are young, robust running back, signed for like $2.5 million a year. I think the landscape is changing, because now guys like Isaiah Pacheco, Damian Pierce, that plays for the Houston Texans, guys that got in the second, third, and fourth rounds are getting 1,000 yards. So they're finding I don't have to commit large draft capital for running backs. So, and so if that's the case, I mean, I get or if you draft them in the first round, you know what you do? You get your 4-year, extend them for that 5th-year option, and then you let them walk. Don't never sign them for don't never let them get a second contract. That's kind of the way the thing is going, So if I'm Tony Pollard, man, like Zeke got ahead of it. Zeke paying the price now for it, but he jumped ahead of that, saw the tea leaves, and hey man, they trying to like run me in the ground, and because he had a couple of 300 rush seasons, that's 350 to 380, 90 rushes a season is kind of like that tipping point for running backs. After that, they start to, it happened with DeMarco Murray, and they say, hey man, you about to go down. We're not gonna give you, 12, 13 million. We'll give you like 7 or 8, and he wanted more, and he went on to the Eagles and never regained his, thing. So I just think Tony needs to look at that, man, because he got 10 million, and that 10 million gonna go quick. And if the next time you don't get re-signed, and then the next contract gets $1.5, $1 million, and you could have had a 4-year, like $25 million, like David Montgomery signed, or Miles Sanders signed a 4-year, $25 million with $5.9 million signing bonus. you might get something like that, and which they'll make that cap friendly, and they'll keep you around. But teams are just not forking over whole lots of money for running backs now. It's just not happening. And I know they thought with Zeke and then Le'Veon Bell that they was going to change the landscape and make it like as more acceptable of give running backs 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 million dollar a year contracts. And it's just not there because teams are finding out they can do it for less. So I don't know. But anywho, but yeah, he might want to. The landscape is changing. All right, the third thing we're going to talk about is DeAndre Hopkins. So, the rumor mill is out now. The DeAndre Hopkins, the Houston Texans done lowered their asking price now. It's a funny thing when that thing don't get sold like you think it do. You start lowering the price. Now, a lot of Cowboy fans like, man, if we'd have just waited, we could have got Hop for a fourth and a fifth, or fifth and a sixth, or what have you, which is what is being reported now. So I think this is it right here. No, that's not it. Got it here somewhere. Anyway, but it's been rumored that he could be had for a fourth and a fifth round pick, right? And so, thing is, he's been having this. Move my camera. Sorry about that. You don't need to see all this other stuff going on. There we go. There we go. Right back in there. But the thing is, I don't know why I'm holding that. The thing is, he's been hanging out with Dez Bryant, and he's been hanging out now with Pac-Man Jones. So earlier this week, Pac-Man Jones was on the Pat McAfee show. I don't know what it is about Pat McAfee, but somehow he gets these guys that these renegade people. They got stories to tell, and they want to tell their story. But he was on that show, and he was saying, "Man, there's 5 teams, other than the Cowboys that want him." He listed the Bills, the Patriots, the Ravens, the Raiders, and the Falcons. So that's been kicked out there, and so. Let me move back to the Zeke thing. And so what we found out about Zeke putting those names of those teams out there, those weren't teams trying to contact him. Those were his agent, Rocky Arsenault, calling Adam Schefter, saying, "Hey, these are the teams that our guy wants to play for." And so what happens is that this stuff gets really when you want to know what a teams want to do, who you ask? You ask the GMs from those teams, and those GMs will let you know what they're doing. They'll put out, what they're, they'll have a press conference or whatever, or you'll find out they're having a meeting with such and such a running back. Like you heard a week or two ago that Adam Thielen was being hosted by the Carolina Panthers. And you know what? Just last week, they signed Adam Thielen. And today they signed also DJ Chark. So that's one guy we're not going to get. So the Panthers got DJ. But you find out these guys are, meeting with these guys. That's how you find out teams are interested, right? So I'm wondering if Pac-Man talked to my man, what's my man's name? Terry Fontenot, who's the GM of the Falcons, about whether or not they want to talk to Terry Fontenot, the new GM of the Falcons, hired back in February of 2021, one of the few African American GMs in the NFL. But I don't know if he's talked to him. I don't know if he's talked to Brandon Beane, who's the GM of the Bills. I don't know if he's talked to Bill Belichick, who's the GM and coach of the Patriots. I don't know if Pac-Man Jones will talk with those guys. Those are the guys you'd have to talk to. But a lot of times this information just gets disseminated out there, and those teams really don't have no knowledge that they're interested in us, or the Raiders, which Dave Ziegler or any of these guys, or the Ravens, Eric DeCosta, he got his hands full with he and my man the GM of the Ravens, they got their hands full with Lamar Jackson. Okay, they got their hands full. Right, they ain't got time to be worried about Deandre Hopkins. They ain't their quarterback situation. What I'm saying is that I don't know how true this is, but if it is true, Cowboy fans, what do you think about possibly, because I was listening to Mike Fisher, and he was like, the numbers, and especially, with him wanting to read, not saying he's hey, the money, I just want to get out of this situation with because the Cardinals got a mess going, new head coach, and we don't know what's going on with Kyler Murray, a whole different regime, and they may be rebuilding, they may be getting rid of some guys and different things, and other players and stuff, so he may want out. So if you can have D Hop for a fifth and a sixth, and we got a fifth and a sixth, would you take it? I mean, we already got Brandon Cooks and whatnot, and like I've said, I think D Hop is a better receiver, but I think Cooks fits what we do better, because you don't want duplication in your wide receiver room. But you can't never have. But on the other hand, you can never have enough weapons. So yeah, if we can get D Hop for and his salaries, can be renegotiated, be like $14 million this year. We're paying $10 million for Cooks this year, and we can get him for a fifth and a sixth, and you've got a couple of 1 year prove it deals, and if we do well and we get advanced in the playoffs, and our offense is unstoppable. Hey man, why not do it? If the money makes sense, if it makes dollars and it makes sense to make dollars, I would say do it. You wouldn't carve up all this free agent, all this renegotiated or rearranging money for nothing, and you could never have. I mean, what if second game into the season, CD Lamb pulls a hamstring, and now you're going with Michael Gallup and Cooks, and we don't know what Gallup is right now, and you be some. But if you got Hopkins, you can run. You imagine the 3 receiver set you can run with CD, Hopkins, and Cooks. And you can bring Gallup in and you may trade them Gallup for him. If you can have him, you can have Hopkins, Cooks, and CD. Yeah, I would trade Gallup for that. And his $13 million per year salary. I would trade that. Love you, Gallup, but I would do it. But you could never have too many weapons, man. You could never have too many weapons. So I would say do it, man. I would say do it, and let's see what happens, man. I mean, because it's only a 1 year deal. We'll see what could happen. It would set it up where you can get out of the deal in a year, and let's see what happens, man. I mean, now I'm not one of these people who say, man, if we just waited, we could just had him instead of him. No, I like Cooks with CD. That way you got 2 different kinds of guys, which means you can have different route concepts. So I like it. I like it, man. If you can get Hopkins, get him, man. And if he can work his deal where it's a deal consumer with what we gave Cooks, let's roll with it, man. But now on the defensive end, there's some things I'd like to see done, and we had some signings. We signed Chuma Udoga. He's a guard / tackle / whatever, played with the Falcons last year. And we got Trent Sieg, 28-year-old long snapper. Used to play with the Raiders, 28 years old, first round pick. Wasn't first round pick, but he's been with the Raiders ever since 2018. So 28 years old, long snapper, never had any bad snaps or, high snaps or anything like that. We say goodbye to Jake McQuaid, and I can't remember what the other guy's name was. So that's some of the things we've had going. But then some of the other moves haven't been made. We have not signed Jonathan Hankins, which they've made an offer. I think they made an offer of like $2-3 million for him, and he just not signed it. I don't know why he hadn't signed it. Is he looking for a better deal, or is he 30 years old and wants to 28, 30 years old, 340 pounds, don't want to go to mini camps or whatever. He didn't want to sign it afterwards, which, whatever. But you know what, man? In the meantime, I think the Cowboys need to be looking at Ashawn Robinson, who's an upgrade over him because he can do what Hankins does and a little more. Um, you know, he's a big, when he can handle, he can pass rush and stuff too. But the dude I'd like for them to get, man, then I got a wish list too. But this one ain't gonna happen. But who I'd like them to get, man, is Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell is 36 years old, but Calais Campbell is 6'8", 330 pounds. All indications from the Ravens, they had to cut him so they can make room for the franchise tag for Lamar Jackson and all that sort of stuff. But he could probably be had. You can't get him for no $3 million. You might have to up it to like $5 or $6 million a year. But I mean, he's got 99 sacks too, and he had a good year in 2020. He had a good year in 2020. 2022. I think he had 6 sacks. A couple of forced fumbles. I mean, I thought he did good considering he's 36 years old, and he's great on pass rushes. You can't get nothing by him on the run game. He done seen it all. He's experienced it all. 2008 draft pick out of Miami. One of the smartest defensive tackles in the game. Surefire Hall of Famer. Love to get him on our team and get his 100 sack with us. And he can do. He's a one tech plus because he can do the 2 and the 3 tech stuff also. Because you can't fool him on some of this other. And on the pass rush, he's 6'8". That means them quarterback gonna have to when he throws, he's got a lot of batted down passes in his career also. So that's one guy I think the Cowboys really should take a look at, Calais Campbell, because I think he's still got a year or two left in the tank, right? Since we're trying to go for it and we got money to spend, right? And then you hear on Twitter, just to let you know that's why you can't always, that's why I'm talking about what Pac-Man was talking about and all this stuff with, Zeke and his agent, Rocky Arsenal, and the stuff they're putting out on Twitter and different things like that. There was a tweet coming out earlier this week that DeForest Buckner wanted out of Indianapolis. Man, DeForest Buckner is 6'7", 300 pounds also. Drafted the same draft Zeke was in, number 7 overall out of I can't remember what college he came out of. I need to look that up. Where's Buckner College? I'll find that out for you. But anyway, he of course now he got traded to the Indianapolis Colts back in 2020 and promptly signed a 4-year, $84 million contract. And that's yeah. Now, let me say this now. And the way the contract is set up, the Colts who are in in total rebuild right now, his contract is in a position right now they'd have no dead cap money if they got rid of him, but his salary is like $19.7 million a year. But he's a guy, man, you can build your defense around, provided his style, as a defensive tackle, he can do the things that Quinn defense, what he's trying to run, he's consuming with that. He's a guy you might want to give up a premium draft pick to get. Yeah, we'll give you a second for him, and sign him to a long, play, a good bit of that long-term deal because he's going to be a stalwart in that front. Because we've been throwing bargain basement money and free agent low budget bodies at the defensive tackle. We ain't had a real defensive tackle since Russell Maryland, right? So we've had guys in there that did, we had some guys that kind of did some stuff, but they weren't Jay Ratliff, he did some stuff, but they weren't like studs, and it'd be good to get a stud in there. But then a tweet came back and said, hey, man, this coming from DeForest Buckner. So y'all need to check y'all sources. I ain't going nowhere. So that was just what they say, a pipe dream, right? But a guy can dream. We could have had DeForest Buckner in there, and have him cave in that middle end with Micah on the outside and D-Law on the other side and Sam Williams. Man, our defense. So what leads us to think now, what other guys could we get now, on our defense, and I got the wrong thing up there. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. But we ain't gonna worry about that right now. We ain't gonna worry about it. Um, okay. I don't know what happened to it. It went away. I don't know. It's fine. We'll work on it. But we got these um, guys that we want to get signed, and then uh obviously we want to sign Jonathan Hankins back, but if he don't want to sign, then right away we have to do, man, and move on because we want to get that bit middle signed in middle of our defense, secured, and then Bobby Wagner's still out there, man. You know, we may still end up getting him. We may get him to come down to our way of thinking and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, man, that's all I got today, man. I thought I had some more stuff, but I lost my train of thought. I had some other um, stuff out there, and I don't know where my labels went. So we don't need to we don't worry about that. We'll just go on what we had. But anyway, man, Zeke, come on, man. You can't put the Eagles on that, man. That's just spiteful, man. That's just your emotions talking, man. And you can't be emotional when we're talking about that. And I know you with the Cowboys a long time and you like to get some get back, but come on, dude. And I love to have Hop. If we can make it affordable and have it and stuff like that, and if those sources are right, and we can get him for a fifth and a sixth. But what do y'all think as Cowboys? What do you guys think? But please like, comment, subscribe, become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. Guarantee you will not be disappointed. I'll catch you guys next week or when some other Cowboy relevant news hits the fan. I'm right here for y'all. We'll catch you guys next time. God bless.